what's up you guys, it's Anne here. So today I created another video for you on how to attach a snap button. I've gotten so many questions on my first video, so that's why I decided to create another one to hopefully answer all those questions. So today I'm going to use 3 different kinds of fabric to really give you an idea on how you could make these cheap buttons to work like wonder. And just to let you know, I'm going to be using the same exact kit that I used in my first video 4 years ago. And just a little recap for the name of the parts. This one is our plier, and in order to use it, we need to attach the rubber rings to the plier head. So we have our snap cap, but most people call it as prongs or a spike. And here's our stud, or what people say the male side. And lastly is the socket, or the female side. Now, majority of the question that I have is that the stud is not going into the socket very well, and also the cap is not attaching good to the socket. And based on my experience, there's only one possible explanation for that. It's most likely that the socket is being installed or positioned incorrectly. To explain this even further, we'll take a closer look to the socket. So these two are both the socket, but if we flip this one over, there's really a significant difference between the style. So if you notice, this side of the socket is slightly raised compared to this side. So therefore, this side of the socket is obviously the part that goes to the stud, and this part of the socket is the side that matches to the snap cap. So whenever we are ready to attach this part to the plier, just always keep in mind that the prongs always goes into the slope side, and the male and the female side goes into the opposite side that has a tiny hole. And again, for the female side, since this is the most tricky part, just remember to position this side facing up to the snap cap, and this narrow ring will secure the spike as we press them against each other. Alright, so I'm gonna start with the satin fabric, and because of the nature of this material that it's very thin and delicate, we need to use a fusible interfacing just to make sure that the fabric won't tear apart as we install the buttons. Then I just always make sure to mark those places where I want my buttons to be. And once everything is all said and done, just simply place the fabric in between of the plier and try to squeeze the plier hard as you can. And you can always squeeze the plier as many times as you want. And just gently pull the fabric out from the plier. And just in case you feel like the buttons are not tight enough, you can actually take the metal rod and just kind of hammer it down. That would really help to secure the buttons nice and flat. So the male side is being installed, now it's time to move on to the female side. And like I mentioned earlier, the flatter side of the female goes into the stud, so make sure that the narrower side of the socket is facing up to the cap. And also please don't pay attention to my fingernails, they can look awful. I just painted them and they are not completely dry. And don't worry if the rubber ring will come off when you remove the plier, you can always put it back to your plier. Okay, so this one, it looks like it's actually not tight enough, but that's okay because like I said, we can always hammer it down. And the second example that I have in here is the cotton fabric. This is by far my favorite kind and the most ideal material to work with when it comes to snap buttons. I also like to use fusible interfacing, although it works just as great without, but I really recommend using one as well just to add stability to your garment. So the installation process is the same, but I just really wanted to show you guys that even though this material is completely different with the satin fabric, but we can still install the buttons the same exact way. And also just to make you aware, because this happens to me several times where I install the parts backwards, so just always pay attention to the placement of your buttons and make sure that they are in the right way, because once they are installed, it's almost impossible to take them out without ruining your fabric. And just like that, we have a perfect set of snap buttons. And lastly is the denim fabric. This one is really thick, and normally for this type of material, we would need to use a heavy-duty buttons, but I was able to use my cheap buttons on this. And just so you know, I didn't use fusible interfacing because it's already thick as it is. So I go ahead and place the parts to the plier, and at this time I didn't squeeze the plier right away. So what I did is I gently pressed the fabric to the spike. You can use your finger and you can use any kind of tool to really push that fabric down and let the spikes penetrate through it. It really helps to attach the button to the fabric, and as far as I can see, it locks the part so nice and tight. So if you're really struggling to attach your snap buttons, you can always use this technique in any kind of fabric. And if it works for me, I'm sure it will work for you. Because once the spike penetrates to the fabric, then the only thing you need to do is to lock it in. And just like that, you'll have a perfect snap button. And if you feel like the buttons are still not tight enough, you can always reinforce it with your metal rod. That would really help to secure the buttons nicely. And this is all I have for you today. Again, thank you so much for watching. And if you ever find this video helpful, please like and subscribe to my channel. And I'll catch up with you later.